A major winter storm is developing right now, and the Northeast just got absolutely buried. And this storm did something we have never seen before in recorded history. We're talking 2 to 3 feet of snow across major cities along the I-95 corridor, and the cleanup from this monster is going to take days. But here's the thing, this isn't even the end of it, because more snow is already on the way later this week. So let me break all of this down for you right now. Let's start with what just happened, because the numbers coming in are honestly jaw-dropping. This nor'easter delivered a historic blow to the Northeast over the past 24 to 48 hours. And as I'm talking to you right now, it's still not completely done. The remnants of this system are still pushing snow across portions of Maine, particularly down East Maine, the Portland area, up toward Augusta and Caribou. Even Boston is still seeing some lighter snow showers early this evening, but over the next few hours, all of that will finally start to wind down, and the real work begins. And by real work, I mean the massive cleanup effort that's going to be required to get life back to normal across the Northeast. We're talking about New York City, Boston, Hartford, Providence, all the way down to Dover, Delaware. There is an enormous amount of snow sitting on the ground right now, and those plow crews are going to be working around the clock tonight and into tomorrow morning, trying to clear roadways, sidewalks, overpasses, parking lots, everything. This is not a quick shovel and you're done kind of situation. This is a multi-day recovery effort for a lot of communities. Now let me hit you with the actual snowfall totals, because these numbers are remarkable. Central New Jersey got absolutely hammered, with some locations reporting 2 to even 3 feet of snow. Long Island saw widespread 2-foot totals, and New York City itself came in right around 20 inches. Up in Hartford, Connecticut, they picked up impressive totals as well. Much of Rhode Island, including Providence, saw deep double-digit snowfall, and Boston was right there with them. A huge number of reporting stations across the Northeast checked in with over 24 inches, which is just an incredible amount of snow from a single storm system. And as more data comes in from Maine over the next several hours, those numbers are likely going to grow even further. Some of those stations in Maine haven't been able to report yet because conditions have been so bad that observers literally couldn't get to their equipment. So the final snowfall map from this storm is going to look even more impressive than what we're seeing right now. But the snow on the ground is only part of the problem. The wind is still howling along the coastline of Maine, and that's creating serious issues with visibility and drifting snow. If you're up in Portland or Augusta or Caribou right now, travel is essentially impossible. The plows can't keep up because the snow is still falling, and what has been cleared is immediately getting blown right back across the road. It's a losing battle until the wind dies down, which should happen around midnight tonight. After that, the crews can finally get out there and start making real progress on opening things back up. Now let me shift gears and talk about what's happening across the rest of the country, because while the Northeast has been dealing with this historic blizzard, there's plenty of other weather to talk about. The central United States is actually looking pretty calm this evening, whether you're in North Dakota or southern Texas, Illinois, or the Plains states. Things are quiet and honestly kind of boring weather-wise, which is exactly what you want after watching what just happened in the Northeast. The western U.S., however, is a completely different story. Another storm system is pushing into the Pacific Northwest right now, and it's bringing significant moisture with it. We're seeing heavy snow at the higher elevations across the Cascades and surrounding mountain ranges, while lower elevations are getting soaked with rain. Portland, Oregon is getting drenched, Eugene and Medford are seeing heavy rainfall, and Northern California near the coast is getting hammered as well. Rainfall totals could exceed 6 inches in some spots, and this is essentially a form of an atmospheric river funneling moisture straight off the Pacific Ocean. There is actually a slight risk for excessive rainfall tomorrow across portions of Northern California, and that means mudslides could become a real concern. If you live anywhere near a creek, a stream, a river, or any kind of low-lying area that tends to collect water, you need to be paying attention to this. Seek higher ground if conditions deteriorate, because the combination of saturated soil and heavy rain can trigger slides very quickly and with very little warning. Now, back in the Northeast, I know a lot of you are thinking, please, no more snow. Well, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but a clipper system is going to swing through the Great Lakes region tomorrow afternoon and evening. If you're in Michigan, you're going to be right in the middle of it Tuesday afternoon. And then that system tracks northeast, and guess where it ends up? Yep, right back over the Northeast by Wednesday morning. We're talking about another couple inches of snow potentially impacting New York City, Hartford, Boston, and Concord, New Hampshire right during the Wednesday morning commute. So if you thought you were done shoveling, think again. Make sure you give yourself plenty of extra time to get where you need to go Wednesday morning. And to add even more insult to injury, the Midwest is staring down another winter storm, going from Wednesday night into Thursday. Chicago looks like it's going to be in the crosshairs this time around, along with Indianapolis, Fort Wayne, and extending over into Ohio, hitting Toledo, Dayton, and Detroit. There's going to be a tricky transition zone with this system that we really need to watch closely, because as we get into Thursday morning, there could be a mix of ice, sleet, and freezing rain in some areas. And you know how dangerous that can be. Even a thin glaze of ice on roadways and bridges can turn the morning commute into a nightmare. Further south, that same system is going to fire up a line of thunderstorms, and some of those could be strong. We're looking at areas around Chattanooga, Tennessee, Huntsville, and Florence, Alabama, and even down toward Atlanta, Georgia, Thursday afternoon. Nothing that looks like a major severe weather outbreak at this point, but definitely something to keep an eye on as we get closer. Looking at the bigger picture for snowfall through the end of February and into early March, I'm seeing a few more inches popping up across the northern tier of the country over the next several days. It's what I'd call shovelable snow, not another blockbuster event, which is definitely welcome news for the Northeast. But don't let your guard down completely, because a few more inches on top of what's already on the ground is still going to create headaches, especially if it comes during rush hour. The mountains out west are going to keep stacking up snow through the end of the month. The Cascades in Washington state, the Rockies, particularly in western Wyoming, Idaho, and western Montana, and then up into the Canadian Rockies in British Columbia and Alberta. We're talking several more feet of snow at the highest elevations, which is fantastic news if you're a skier or snowboarder, but not so great if you live in those mountain communities and have to deal with avalanche risk. Now, let's talk temperatures, because we've got a really interesting split happening across the country right now. Cold air is locked in across the east, while the west is running well above normal. And as we look through the week, there's going to be a pretty dramatic warm-up in the southern plains. Kansas City is going from highs in the 20s and 30s today to the mid-60s by tomorrow. That's literally going from winter to spring in 24 hours. One day you're bundled up in a heavy coat, and the next day you're in a light jacket wondering what happened. The Front Range of the Rockies in eastern Colorado down into the Texas Panhandle near Amarillo is going to see record-challenging warmth tomorrow, with temperatures climbing into the 70s and 80s. And by Wednesday, that heat pushes into southern Texas, where we could see mid-90s south of San Antonio and Austin, all the way down toward Brownsville along the Mexican border. Mid-90s in February. That is absolutely wild. But if you're in the upper Midwest, the Northeast, the Great Lakes region, or anywhere in Canada, I'm sorry, but the cold isn't going anywhere. The first week of March, from roughly the 1st through the 8th, is looking frigid. We're talking about at least one more significant push of Arctic air, with wind chill values plunging well below zero, especially across the Canadian provinces. In some spots, we could be looking at wind chills cold enough to cause frostbite on exposed skin in a matter of minutes. So if you're up there, please take the cold seriously and make sure you're dressing appropriately when you head outside. Looking further ahead into March, an active weather pattern is shaping up across the Mississippi Valley, and this is exactly what we've been forecasting for weeks. The setup is classic. Cold air dropping down from Canada on frequent cold fronts, colliding with warmer, moisture-rich air surging up from the south. That battleground zone from Texas up through Missouri, the Ohio Valley, and into the southern Great Lakes is going to be the sweet spot for above-normal precipitation through the first week of March and likely beyond. The Pacific Northwest will also continue to see above normal precipitation, which is good news for water resources out there. But California and Florida are not looking so fortunate. Both areas are expected to remain drier than normal, and the drought situation, particularly in Florida, is going to get worse before it gets better. That's really concerning because we've already seen significant wildfires breaking out across Florida over the past couple weeks, and some of those fires have been quite large. Without meaningful rainfall, those conditions are only going to deteriorate. As for the snow outlook through the end of March and into early April, the mountains out west should continue to see solid snowfall, which is great for the ski season and for building up the snowpack that feeds water supplies through the summer. The upper Midwest and Northeast will see additional rounds of snow through March, though the further south you go, the snow will gradually transition to rain as temperatures moderate. And that transition zone is where severe weather season really starts to ramp up during the second half of March. We could be talking about tornadoes, large hail, and damaging winds as spring tries to muscle its way in. So the bottom line is this: the Northeast just survived a historic nor'easter, and the cleanup is going to take several days. But more snow is already in the pipeline for later this week, so don't put those shovels away just yet. The West Coast has its own storm to deal with, bringing heavy rain and mountain snow over the next 48 hours. And the temperature contrast across the country right now is absolutely extreme, with record warmth in the south and persistent cold hanging on in the north. My full spring forecast covering temperature trends, precipitation outlooks, and the severe weather season is coming out later this week, so make sure you don't miss that. It's going to be a detailed breakdown of what March, April, and May have in store for you, no matter where you live. Stay safe out there tonight, especially if you're still dealing with the aftermath of this incredible storm. Bundle up, be careful on those slippery sidewalks and roadways, and let those plow crews do their work before you venture out if you don't absolutely have to. This was one for the record books, and we're going to be talking about this nor'easter for a very long time.